Hi, this is Pam Menaker, Clifford Law Office's communications partner. As you can see, we've got a number of people here who are family members and friends who lost loved ones in the Ethiopian crash of ET-302 4 years ago today. And I'm going to be asking people here, the family members, whoever want to step up to the microphone here to say something and to express their thoughts on today's very tragic day. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chris Moore, and my CHRISMOORE, and my daughter Danielle Moore, DANIELLE, lost her life on flight ET-302 4 years ago. We are all here today remembering our loved ones, but every day, 24/7, we remember them. It's just that this happens to be an anniversary, but we also want to be here to remind other people, the butcher, Boeing, that the planes that they design, they certify, and they build must be safe. There are people flying on them, and they have to make them safe for the flying public. The baker must ensure that the most important ingredient in their rulemaking is the people who will be flying on those planes. It must be safe for the people. We also want to make sure that the candlestick maker, that they shed a light on the facts and they bring justice to those who fail us. That's what I want to make sure, that we have all that all the justice that those people deserve. My daughter lost her life and Boeing took away her body, and the Department of Justice tried to take away her voice, but we are here today to make sure that we're giving her voice back. Thank you. Next.
This is my daughter, Danielle Moore, and my name is Clarice Moore, CLARISSMOORE, Danielle, DANIELLA. Danielle was one of the Canadian delegate that went to UN. 4 years today, we will hit with a very, very sad news. For years, we've been standing up, fighting, being the voice of our daughter. We're standing here in front of Boeing and letting all the public know, all the flying public, that up to now, for 4 years that we stand, they were not held accountable. We are teaching them that it's okay to murder people and walk away free. Boeing and their CEO bought their freedom, and they took away our loved ones' voices. We will stand forever, pick up the pieces, no matter how bad, how broken we are, to bring the justice for Danielle and all those 346 loved ones that they murdered. We should be forever stand, as what my daughter would say. Stand up straight. Bring your voice up, because you deserve no less. My daughter and all these 346 loved ones deserve all the justice that they should have. And for every door that they let us in and they closes it back and back again and hit us, we will be forever standing there. We will be forever standing for the justice. And then maybe then we can have our healing, because for 4 years we could not heal when we don't have held those people accountable for the murder that they took away the lives of Danielle and the 346 loved ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Clarice. Adnan, thank you.
My name is Adnan Sumo. I'm the brother of Samia, died on the Ethiopia. My name is Adnan, Adnaan, Stumo, Stumo. We were just at the Department of Justice this morning, showing the faces of the dead to the people who are responsible here and there. The Department of Justice should be holding Boeing accountable. Instead, they struck a sneaky side deal. And the Department of Justice lawyer was involved in the investigation and prosecution. She went to work for Boeing's law firm, defending Boeing, a couple of weeks after they struck that deal. Now we were trying to appeal. DOJ and Boeing lawyers were on the same side of the courtroom against the family seeking justice, and they arguing together that the deal that they've struck is sufficient. They're supposed to have inspections of the Max construction and assembly line, but DOJ's lawyer couldn't even say what those inspections were in court, and they're just got away scot-free. And they're in complete collusion between the government and this government-run and this massive company, and the families get left out in the cold, and there's no reason, no systemic change, no reason that a third crash up till now can't happen for the same old reasons.
Thank you, Adnan. Would anyone else who would like to step up? Another family member here.
My name is Nadia, Nadia Milleron, Milleron. I lost my daughter, Samia Stumo, who's right there, in the Boeing ET-302 crash. The problem is the MAX is still unsafe. A new plane at the end of February in Phoenix, Arizona, had an emergency landing 2 days after it went into service. That means there are manufacturing problems. That means that Boeing is still shorting its manufacturing to increase its profit margin and buy back stock. And that means that the public is at risk. You could be us, and that's what we don't want. This is March 10th, the day that we hate, the day that we all lost our family members, and we don't want you, the public, to lose your family members. And the Boeing needs to step up, do the right thing by its product, create a great product as they used to do, and not risk public lives. The same problem happened in January of this year with the MAX, also in Florida. The same problem happened with the MAX last fall, going across to Hawaii. 3 different planes had to return to base, had to emergency landings, because so we're looking at pilot reports, which are mandated reports, and we are seeing that this plane is still dangerous. As the public, put pressure on Boeing to not have this be business as usual, to have unsafe planes. We have very skilled pilots in the United States, pilots that have gone through military training, and they're able to handle these circumstances so far. Having a defective plane, a defective product should not be the case that we're relying on pilots to save passengers. Please, Boeing, change your behavior. Invest in your product. Thank you.
I am Catherine Berthet, Catherine And here is my wonderful, amazing daughter. She's Camille, Camille, Geoffroy, Geoffroy. She was an amazing young woman. She worked in humanitarian area for some years. She lived in South Sudan, in Central Africa for some years, in very bad, very difficult conditions of living. She worked, she dreamed of a better world, like most of the people who were in that plane and who crashed in Africa. They were all so young, so beautiful, so committed for a better world, for a better climate, for better environment. I think their mean age was around 30 or 35, and they are the symbol of the world going down, of the greed of Boeing, and of the failure, total failure of justice and technical. Everything went wrong with those crashes. From day one, mistakes have been made. No possible mistakes could have done like that. After the first crash, everybody knew that there was a big problem with this plane, with MCAS. And from day one, they should have grounded that plane after the crash in Indonesia. But Boeing preferred to play with odds, to play with figures and hope that there would be no other crash. Unluckily, there was a second crash 4 months later. That can't be allowed, that shouldn't have been allowed. And even after the second crash, they said there was no problem. They said their plane was still secure, but it's not true. And now people have to know that even a 20 months grounding, this plane is still dangerous. People have to know that there are so many incidents with that planes, emergency landings, trims problems. This plane is still very dangerous. And if I am here as well, is that because no one has been punished, because from day one, those people who are dead in the crash, among when my daughter, she was in that plane, they were dead and they were never considered as victims. They were just considered as people by coincidence dead in the plane. That it's ununderstandable. We have to fight before the DOJ. I went twice to Fort Worth to plead before the judge that we are victims, that Boeing must be sued for manslaughter because they can't go away with murder. And that is what is happening, actually. They are going away with murder. They are even rewarded millions of dollars for keeping the plane in the sky. And it's not fair. They must be condemned because actually they killed 346 people. How do you tell that if not murder, if not manslaughter? It's not just a lie, a fraud. It's a manslaughter and they have to be sued, and DOJ has to do its work. It's their job to investigate and to tell a crime, because that's what it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was Catherine Berthet, who came all the way from France. Do we have any other family members who'd like to come forward and speak? Any other family members here? Thomas, are you? We have another family member here, please. Thank you.
My name is Thomas Berthet, ThomasBerthet. I lost my niece, Camille, Camille, in the Ethiopian Airlines crash. She was 28. I come from France. I'm an engineer. I'm here today because to me, when you design a new aircraft, when you want to make more business, it doesn't mean you want to kill people.
Thank you for your comments.
I just forgot to mention that I came from France, from Paris, because Camille was French. Sorry, I didn't mention that before.
Thank you. Thank you, Catherine. Michael?
I'm Michael Stumo, Michael Stumo, Stumo. My daughter, who we lost 4 years ago, was Samia. Part of her is buried in Ethiopia. Part of her is buried in the United States. Even her body is broken. We remember and love her with our broken hearts. I remember the day we were trying to figure out, was she on that plane 4 years ago? Was she on that plane? She was on the plane. That was the second crash. We want no third crash. That plane was a new Max. It malfunctioned and dived into the ground at 500 miles an hour. We stood by the hole where you couldn't even see a whole plane. We've been fighting to get aircraft safety prioritized. We get lip service. Last year, Boeing's top lobbying priority in aviation was to loosen rules to modernize their flight crew alert system, a pilot flight crew alert system that had already caused 8 crashes, including ours, contributed to ours. Their current MAX flight crew alerting system complies with 1977 rules, and they didn't want to upgrade them to 2011 rules. That's what they've learned. Their top priority was to loosen the regulations. So this plane, which will be flying in 2040, the MAX, will comply with 1977 crew alerting rules, where a crash happens every 3 years, where it's a contributing factor of the confusing and false and nuisance alerts of that system. We know that in January and February, 2 brand new MAX planes had their trim stabilizer system go bad. So pilots had to manually fly the plane. They didn't ground them. Nobody's looking and seeing what happened. These are production problems at Boeing, where the FAA is not even seen on the production floor, and they've cut quality control. The Boeing production system is broken and not fixed. We know that there have been 137 pilot reported incidents of flight management systems, safety systems on MAXs in the last year go bad. Comparable aircraft don't have that are new. These are new aircraft where the different parts of the flight control system is going bad, and pilots are reporting it in the database. 137. Why is this not news? Why isn't it fixed? Why isn't Boeing throwing every resource at it? And why isn't the FAA fixing it now? We're seeing an FAA reauthorization now. The Congress is paying attention to unmanned aerial systems, drones, everything else, but they're not focusing on this. So our job is to not let them forget to prevent a third crash. There's been a lot of close calls recently, and a third crash could easily happen soon. Thank you for being here. We're here to remember Samia. We're here to remember all the others who died. They're breaking ground on a new memorial on the crash site in Ethiopia today. And they're remembering their lost loved ones across the world. We're remembering them, but we're also fighting so no one else has to have this happen to them again. Thank you.
Michael, thank you very much. We have people on the, if we have anybody here who would like to speak, otherwise we have family members on the Zoom. We have media on the Zoom. So at this point,
But I think we can put, maybe we can, we don't have to stand here, right?
let me just check. Do we have any people from the media who would like to ask questions of anybody here? We're going to open it up to media questions in the on the Zoom. I'm going to open it up now to Sonia. Will you open it up then to family members who want to speak, who might be on the Zoom here? Let me just look at the Zoom. Sorry, did I just walk in front of the camera? Okay. I'm sorry for walking in front of the camera. If we have no questions, Sonia, do we have any questions here?
I don't see any. Folks, feel free to raise your hand if you have a question or if you'd like to be heard. I see that Mr. Pegram has his hand up.
Okay. Please open up the audio to him. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Special thank you to everybody who's made the trip and is standing there holding the photos of the passengers on flight E2302. Those photos include my son. My son is Sam Pegram, S-A-M-P-E-G-R-A-M. He was a young humanitarian, dedicated and passionate to helping refugees and the most vulnerable people in the world. And like so many others, his life was cut tragically short on this day 4 years ago. As well as suffering, being a grieving father and helping support his mother, Debbie, our other son, Tom, through this most difficult of times. I've also become, aware and involved on the safety side, working with the families. I worked for over 20 years for an international aerospace and defense company. I'm a qualified engineer, software engineer. So I fully understand the environment that should be in place to ensure that a system is safe. And clearly what happened in Boeing over a 5-10 year period is that they took their eye off the ball on safety. No matter how many times they say safety is their #1 priority, it clearly hasn't been for up to a decade now. The biggest consequence that we've seen around that was the Boeing Max, which was designed in compressed timescales, with costs cut, and let out with a dangerous, unsafe condition that resulted in the death of 346 people. Boeing compounded that by lying to regulators, lying to airlines themselves about the nature of the aircraft and the systems in the aircraft and the lack of a need for pilot training associated with the changes on that aircraft. And as others have said before, the families don't want another date in the calendar to be tied up with groups of families coming together to remember their loved ones in what should be a totally avoidable incident. And I call on, Boeing, the FAA, to really commit and demonstrate openly and transparently what they are doing to make sure that safety is a number one priority. You know, the recent events that we're seeing that other people have already mentioned indicate that there are still worrying production quality issues at Boeing. So, you know, we're watching, and, you know, we'd like to call on all the media present to keep reporting on this, keep their eyes on Boeing, keep their eyes on the FAA, put pressure on Congress to make real systematic cultural change, and give the FAA the authority and the resources to properly police that, because at the moment there's no trust left that Boeing are adequately engineering safe airplanes at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. And I believe we don't have any questions from the media. We have some media here who are doing interviews. And thank you to everybody who's on the Zoom, and obviously people who came here from very far away, and they braved the cold and rain here in Washington to honor their loved ones. At this point, I'm going to conclude the Zoom meeting and the press conference, and thank you for attending from Clifford Law Offices and from all the families here. Thank you. Bye now.